Welcome to Page to Screen, the podcast where Nikki and Christina discuss books that were turned into movies and films that were adapted from books. As always, we do remind you that spoilers lay ahead. Now, we invite you to decide with us the age-old question, which is better, the book or the movie?
Break out the fava beans and a nice chianti, because we're back. What? Page to Screen is back, and joining as always is Christina. What are we doing today, Christina?
Well, today we are discussing The Silence of the Lambs, the psychological horror novel written by Thomas Harris, which turned into the 1991 movie. And I think a lot of people have seen the movie at least, so This is going to be an exciting one to talk about.
I know that I had seen the movie so many times.
Yeah.
I think anyone who's ever taken a film course in college has to watch this as well. And I remember skipping that day because I was like, I've already seen it. I don't have to see that one again. I aced the test. I didn't have to see the movie again. But was this your first time reading the book? Or
Yes.
Okay, good. Mine too. I was worried you were going to be like, no, I've read it 100 times. I'd be like,
This has been on my list for a long time, so I was excited to read it. And this is also interesting because I've seen The Silence of the Lambs a million times, but it's been a while since my last watch of it, and this is my first time rewatching it after watching the TV series Hannibal.
Oh my God, I love that. Oh my God.
Me too. And Hannibal, the timeline with Hannibal ends right before what happens in Silence of the Lambs. So it was weird. I was like, oh, this is a different watch of it. But really, they're two different things. It's not. You can appreciate both separately without them overlapping. But
although after watching Hannibal, the TV series, when it was on, I was like, we should just redo all the movies. I'm just gonna redo them. We're gonna do them all in order. We're gonna redo everything because Mads is the ultimate villain. He should be the villain in every possible movie.
100%.
You want to redo Cruella? Great, put Mads as Cruella.
Well, and reading the book, Silence of the Lambs, with Hannibal Lecter, I could see both Anthony Hopkins and Mads in my mind.
Yeah.
And I was trying to not think about them and just formulate my own, but it's really hard not to.
Yeah.
They were kind of interchangeably showing up in scenes in my mind.
They're just connected in a very weird way. They're
symbiotic
yes.
existence.
You can't separate the two. They both did such amazing things with this character.
And this is your first time reading it too.
Yes. And
okay.
I told Christina right off the bat after I finished reading it, I was like, was it supposed to be this quick to read? It's why did I read this so fast?
Yeah.
It wasn't.
It's a fast read.
Yeah. Given the subject matter of the book, I expect this to be super heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And I expected to not want to rush into it. And instead I was just maybe a whole weekend, a Friday night through a Sunday night, finish the whole thing.
No, you know what it reminded me of? Because I listened to the audiobook of it, which was good, and it reminded me of, because I really like listening to true crime podcasts that are mini-series. I prefer mini-series over long podcast format stuff. And usually with those, I will binge them over a weekend, especially a holiday weekend or something where I've got a couple days. But it felt very similar to that. The way that the procedural stuff happens, her investigation, the detailing of Buffalo Bill's victims and everything,
mm-hmm.
All of it just it had a very similar type of feel to that. So it was nice because I listened to it only over 3 days, and it was in 2 to 3 hour increments as I was doing chores and stuff, which is exactly how I listen to true crime podcasts.
I just love that there's a whole collection of women out there who totally get it.
Yeah.
They're doing their kids' laundry, and it's
I was doing laundry.
And they found the finger buried deep within the ground. You know what I mean? There were people I know that when we used to have a bathtub at the old apartment, I would listen to true crime in the bathtub and just be laying there scented candles, and it would just be her mutilated scalp was found hidden deep in the back of the freezer. And we're like, oh, God, probably was.
You going to work on Monday? How was your weekend? Nice, relaxing.
Yeah, it was really relaxing. It was calming.
Clear my mind a little bit.
Yeah. I work with people who don't like true crime now, so they're not as much fun.
Oh.
You know.
But you have me. You have me.
I know. Thank y'all. I need to read the other books now.
Yeah, same.
Hands down. Because I am interested to see how those are structured as well. Because when you watch I feel like this is going to be one of those episodes where it's hard to dissect the movie and the book. Because
it's very
they
difficult.
are...
What is similar is exact.
Yeah. So I'm just going to go into this completely comparing the two because Hannibal, like the character of Hannibal in the book is very much background to everything that's happening. Like the book is pretty much straight up like if you were to call this book Clarice, I'd 100% believe that is what it is because that's who the main character is. But it's funny when you watch the movie... She takes a step back to him in just about everything. Everything is Hannibal, and nothing really... She doesn't come up to the level that she does in the book. And I don't know if that resonated with you.
No, it did. And with Clarice, she has anxieties and fears, but they're all internalized. She does not show anything. And I thought it was really cool because we've read, I love Richard Matheson and we did Hell House, but Richard Matheson still has a very sexist view of women. So they're all described with their, boobs. Yeah. Like that's the first description you get.
Boobies.
And with this, I was really happy because she doesn't get that type of sexist description. Yeah. She doesn't have a lot of the same problematic descriptions and issues that other female characters have that are written by men. And it was cool that the first time she has even a slight feminine movement is several chapters in, and it's when she's firing the gun and she's at like 76 times and he tells her that she needs to be at like 100 or 90.
Yeah.
And then she blows hair out of her eye because she's frustrated because she's still the best.
Yeah.
And she wants to be called the best. And I liked that movement. Like, I liked the idea of this woman who's the best one of the group, and she's the only female, and she blows hair out of her eye. And, that's the first time after many pages that she does anything even slightly feminine. But the movie, it's surprising because Jodie Foster typically, in her performances, takes a step back from... being overly feminine in her portrayals. And I always like that about her. And in this one, it's weird because she's actually more emotional as Clarice than she is in the book because she would never, nearly cry in front of Hannibal Lecter. That does not happen. And it especially doesn't happen in, the first meeting, but it does in the movie. And I'm mixed about it because in a way I think it's interesting that she did that. But in another way, I feel like it weakens the character.
Yeah, definitely. That was one of my big notes that I wrote down is that, while watching the movie, the conversations that Hannibal and Clarice have in the book, they felt like they were equals. Because you get this understanding, they bring up the previous FBI investigator from the Hannibal book.
Will Graham.
Graham. They bring him up.
Say his name.
Say his name.
Say my name.
Say it again. The part
Danielle.
where you say my name.
Danielle.
Some ever after quotes for you guys.
Yeah, there you go. Enjoy that one. But we know setting up in this book that there was somebody else who Hannibal seemed to have trusted, and that the FBI trusted. They're pulling in this newbie girl to just handle Hannibal. And in that respect, both Clarice and Hannibal are starting off on equal footing in the book because he doesn't know her. She knows of him but has never worked with him. They don't know how to really balance their relationship. So their conversations were always as equals, sharing information. Even though Clarice was told not to, they're sharing this information. And then you watch the movie and it's so hostile
Yeah.
And very, like, aggressive, especially on the side of Hannibal. Being very, like, aggressive and in your face about everything. And, like, I feel like he's, like, every time he was on, like, all of his meetings, I feel like he was half an inch away from, like, licking something. Do you know what I mean? Just, like, bleh. And it was, like, that's such a departure because in the books, I felt like Hannibal had found an equal.
Yeah.
And it was, like, this whole yin and yang situation, this male female,
The quid pro quo.
Yeah.
That line is very. It's what they're doing the whole time.
yeah, and it just felt,
It's an exchange.
yeah, and it just, like, when you get to the film, like, the film is great, don't get me wrong, everybody, Hannibal, you know, lovers out there, and by that I do mean Silence of the Lambs lovers.
Well, there's hardcore like Hannibal fans.
Yeah.
Hannah fans.
Hannah fans. Hey, Hannah fans, you're doing great. Lamb lovers, you're doing great. The movie is great, don't get me wrong. But after reading the book, I have a completely different view on the whole film.
Yeah, like with that first meeting that they have, and when she's walking down and Miggs throws his semen on her face, and then she kind of like runs back and she has another talk with Hannibal real quick. Like the momentum of that and the way that it happens in the movie is really kind of strange. Like it's not the same as in the book, and it's a little jarring.
In the book, it feels like she got hit in the face, and I feel like reading it, she just took that for a moment. She just was standing there and was just like, I'm sorry, what? And then he calls her back, and I felt like it seemed more like she calmly walked back because she didn't want them to see, because she is a woman in a male-dominated world, and she didn't want to seem weak in front of people who are behind bars. This is where we're at in our lives. We can't even seem weak in front of men who were put away for crimes. They can't touch us. I mean, they could throw semen at us, but they can't, like, physically touch us. And we still have to be the stronger person.
No, exactly. She wouldn't have run back like that.
Yeah.
Like she's making herself look very weak and very afraid in this room, and it doesn't happen the same way, and it's weird. And the thing with her too is like the whole background with the Silence of the Lambs and her trying to save animals and how like hard that hit her, and that shows that she cares and she wants to save people, but she's also willing to break the rules and willing to not listen to authority, and that she in fact is fighting against authority and men and male control from the very beginning, ever since she was a kid. Yet she still has respect for her father figure. So it's like you get a lot of information about her with that story, and it's kind of cool that that's like the one that is the driving force. But with her, she's very composed and very controlled, and the one thing that she has that accidentally escapes her control sometimes is still internalized as her anger.
Yeah.
So when the thing happens and she gets it thrown on her face, and Chilton is he's a creep. He's like the worst.
Yeah.
And Dr. Chilton, who runs the
He's a perv.
He's a perv. And he's like controlling Hannibal and being a dick to him. The fact that you end up like hating Chilton and you like Hannibal, you know. So Chilton is being gross, and then in her head she gets really upset, and she's like, "Oh, well then you take cum on your face, you son of a bitch!" Like, but she doesn't like allow herself completely to let go with that anger, but she has an anger like streak.
Oh yeah.
And instead of it being an anger response in the movie, it's this like kind of weaker response.
Yes, and it drove me nuts because we already have a character. You set up Clarice to be this superhero, you know, like the book field is very feminist heavy. Like you have this amazing lead female character who is strong, who can, in the face of everything that's happening to her, still be composed. She breaks like by herself, which I think a lot of people do. They just don't release that. She knows when to let her emotions take over and when not to, and she knows when she is right. And she knows when she is wrong. And she can really differentiate good from bad, even when good is a little bit blurred. She gets all of that. Then we get Clarice in the movie, and she is unsure of herself. And she's a little bit she takes a step back to a lot of the men around her. And one of the scenes from the book that I loved was when she gets asked there's two parts that I really love in the book. The first one's when she gets asked to join them to do that first autopsy. And she is in that room.
I love the autopsy scene.
Like, she's in that room with all those men, and they're all talking around her, and she raises her voice in the middle of that room. Not when the body's on the slab like in the movie. She doesn't wait a ton of time to do this. She's in that room, immediately assesses the situation, and is like, y'all gotta go. Trust me, I've got it from here. And they leave. In the movie, we have this extended scene where she's just standing there, kind of like in the back. She has this vision of her dead father. She's just like that. When they put in the vision of her dead father, that's when you know that she is uncomfortable in this situation and she's not owning the situation like she was in the book. She's just a part of it, not the big part of it. And then she finally finds her voice, and she's like, Hey guys, we could.
She goes, go on now.
Yeah, go on now. Go on. You can trust us that we got it. Our Jodie Fosters are so good. We do the best Jodie Fosters on this podcast.
Well, I feel like she is kind of doing a Holly Hunter in the movie.
Yes.
Like, she sounds exactly like Holly Hunter.
Does.
Like, even talk out of the side of her mouth. Like,
yes. Oh my God, Holly Hunter would have been good in this too.
She would have been good.
She wouldn't have had to put on an accent.
No, and I struggle because I still like that scene in the movie.
Yeah.
I still like it in the movie, and I like her going, all right, go on now. Like, I like that. I like the autopsy scene. I think it's cool. But it's that thing where the book is better.
Yeah.
I hate to be that basic book bitch.
Sorry, guys. It's just, the book gives her so much more weight. Yeah. And so much more authority in that scene, whereas the movie gives her, like, it's almost as if she's looking to her superior to be like, was that okay for me to say? Because I said it, and now it's done. But the other thing that was in the book that is omitted completely from the movie that I love is he's like, okay, go back to your classes, because if you don't finish all these classes, you can't be in the training program, and they're going to send you back to where you were from, and you're going to have to start all over again. And Clarice takes full ownership of this. She knows what's going to happen to her if she doesn't complete the FBI training. And she's like, no, I want to continue. I am willing to give all that up if I can catch Buffalo Bill. And it's like, that is such a power move. Like, that is big dick energy all day, every day. You know what I mean? Like, to be able to say, this is something I've worked towards my entire life, but I'm willing to give it up if I can save this girl in the hole. Done.
It's reminiscent of Hidden Figures in a way, where you've got someone who is trying to get somewhere further, has everything against them, and then now on top of it, they're having to put up with more bullshit than the guys to their left and their right, having to work harder, and probably will not get paid the same as they will.
I mean, no, definitely. She's going to be doing desk work for a while. Trust.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. But yeah, like, omitting that whole side bit, really, Clarice didn't have anything to lose if she stopped looking for Buffalo Bill in the movie.
It's weird that they didn't include it, because it is an interesting complication to the story.
Yeah, because it adds more to this idea that we know that she's hard on herself. And we know that. And this adds another layer to her being even harder on herself, because not only does she have to perform better in her classes, she also has to solve this murder because she's put everything on the line for this. And to not have those high stakes in the film felt wrong to me. And I get it. You can't add everything. But this was like, it was heavy, you know?
It's the same thing as, like, the cop who he's trying to, finish before his day of retirement. Yeah. It's that type of vibe. It's the, not only do I want to do this on a professional or personal level, but I've got other shit in my life that is going on at the same time. So I'm balancing all of this.
Yeah. It was good to have that extra background into her life. Yeah, you know what, everyone? We liked the book more than the movie, I think.
I for sure. And one thing I kept thinking as I was watching it was, it's a shame because the movie is awesome. Like, I was actually very happy to rewatch this movie. And it's been a while since the last time that I watched it. Probably like 7-8 years. And I I like doing this podcast with you because I like talking with you, but it's also fun to revisit certain things because like Casino Royale was just a movie before we redid it, and now like I hardcore love that movie and would probably put it in at least my top 20, if not maybe higher for that this year. But like Casino Royale and Silence of the Lambs both, I think I've found a new love for it, and I want to swim in this Hannibal world a little bit longer. So I love the movie, don't get me wrong. Yeah. Like I for sure love this movie, but now I see it with different eyes.
Yeah. There are things we saw it through rose-colored glasses. Now we took the glasses off and we're like, it's still good, but it could have been better.
Now I'm looking at it through the night vision glasses.
like Bane. Like, I was born in the darkness. Like, Bane would have dominated in the final scene of the movie when all the lights are out. Just saying, just putting that out there. Bane doesn't need night vision goggles because he was born in the darkness. He's good.
I did like it's surprising that for an early 90s movie that they did get a lot of feminist shit in that movie. Yeah. I mean, it's a feminist book and it's a feminist movie, which I think is super freaking cool. And there's a lot of little things that made it through into the movie that I was surprised at, and I don't know why because I've seen it before. Like when after the autopsy scene when they're driving in the car and he says, oh, that really got you when I, treated you like shit. And then she's like, well, because the cops look at you on how to act. Mm-hmm. And he's like, okay, good point. And I liked that because it was like he understood where she's coming from, and one can expect that he will stop doing that and he will stop being that guy, and he understood what she meant. And like I kind of liked that. I liked that there was this male authority figure in her, and she was strong enough to say, yeah, what you did was wrong. Because you would think that, especially with how she's being a little bit softer in the movie, that she'd be like, oh, it was okay. It was fine. But no, it's like, no, it was fucked up. Yeah.
She's a lot, that scene I don't think it's in the book.
It's not. That's why I was like, that's kind of weird.
So, and see, after, like, it's like they replaced that whole scene from the book to make her softer in the movie, and then they gave her this scene afterwards to be hard again, and it's like,
why didn't you just do it that way?
Exactly. Yeah, why didn't you just do it the way it was written? And it would have been fine. Jonathan Demme, what's up? What's good? We're going to talk. We got a lot to talk about. I know you've had recent interviews where you feel bad. I'm going to make you feel worse.
Well, there's the big
T in the room you talk about?
The big T. Yeah. I was going to say elephant, but the big T is better.
The big T. The big T. The big plot point. If you have not seen Silence of the Lambs, I can't there's no, how have you lived this long and not, no, you're like probably like 12 listening to this, like, what's Silence of the Lambs? Like, I know Anthony Hopkins was like, is this a children's movie when he first got this script?
It is not a children's movie.
No, it's not for kids. So there's this overarching idea about Buffalo Bill being trans throughout both the book and the movie. Neither of them get this right.
No.
But the book treats it a hell of a lot different than the movie does.
Yeah.
Like, hands down. The book goes into detail, like, Clarice has a whole line about, like, how transgendered people aren't automatically linked to violence. Yeah. And there's a whole thing with, they call all these hospitals because Hannibal, who already knows everything, just give him what he wants. Let him eat people and he'll tell you anything. He knows
all he wants to do.
All he wants to do is eat people. Listen, I know a couple people in DC who could definitely be eaten by Hannibal, and I want to have a problem with it right now.
I'm not saying he should do it. I'm just saying if you put them on one end of the room and you just kind of let the guy go, you went that way.
I would not have any problems with it, is what I'm saying. Sorry, not sorry. But when Hannibal tells them, like, oh, maybe you should check out some hospitals and see if anyone was denied transgender surgery, maybe take a look, see what happens. Like, don't know where that voice came from. Like, the higher pitch she goes, like, I don't know, I mean, what are you doing? I don't know. You do know. But
he's like some sort of like freaking drag queen in his cell, and he's like, what? I'm incorrigible.
It's chocolate.
It's chocolate.
So they get this
like Clarice like runs away. Oh, what's wrong with her today?
Yeah. Whatever. No, so they start calling around to all these hospitals that at the time were offering all the surgeries for transgendered individuals, and they even say that doctor says, do not link us to Buffalo Bill. Mm-hmm. We do not provide services in that respect, blah, blah, blah. Basically condemning the idea of linking violence to transgendered individuals. Mm-hmm. Good. Not enough of a point was made to that, but good. And the book does make a point to be like, listen, he's only trying to kill these women, skin them, and wear them because he has a weird connection to his mom. It's a weird Oedipus situation. Like, you know what I'm talking about. Wink, wink. Greeks. Anyways, the movie, gone. All of that. Just no explanation to why he's doing what he's doing. Just this idea that transgendered individuals are inherently evil. Mm-hmm. And it is especially now, like, the movie's great. Don't get me wrong, but it is a little difficult to watch this. Mm-hmm. Especially when they do that long panning shot and you're in his house. And there's he's got the mannequins with the ball gowns on and the wigs, and you're panning around and he's at the table sewing skin together. Yeah. And then you get to the hole and you see the girl in the hole. And you're like, this is not right now. This is not PC for today's audiences. Yeah. And it's hard. It was hard to watch, I think, the little bits like that.
Well, do you remember, like, 10 years ago when it was, like, the first DC Comics trans character, and it was a villain? And they're like, you really chose to do, finally, a big trans character, and you made them the villain. Maybe not. Like, that's fine that, trans people can be villains too, sure. But why don't you make your first trans person a good person? Or maybe, just Superman's girlfriend. Like, just, like, literally anybody. You don't have to make them the villain, like, right out the gate. Give us a couple and then make one the villain. Like, that's fine.
Yeah. Like, but they keep doing that, though.
It's
not just, 10 years ago. Even as late as, I would say, 3-4 years ago, the Pretty Little Liars TV show had the main villain be a trans individual.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it was a whole plot point that they were building up to. They were the big bad for the end of a season. It was like, are you telling me we're still doing this?
Yeah. It's because it sucks because it's like a deeply rooted thing in fear and not understanding someone. It's like the oldest fear of not understanding, therefore they are a monster.
Yeah.
And like the thing that's interesting about Buffalo Bill, because it sucks because Buffalo Bill is sort of like one of those characters, almost like Clockwork Orange or Joker or something. Like, he's a symbol. Like he is not as high up as like a Michael Myers, but he is someone who I think is a cool horror icon. Like Hannibal Lector is going to get all of the fame from Silence of the Lambs, but there's something about Buffalo Bill I love. Like when he's dancing, and like my favorite part is when it puts the lotion on its skin. Like that part kills me, and it makes me laugh. Like I love him, and I think it's funny, but it's very hard to watch now. And it sucks because I feel like they do still have the line in the movie of, oh, trans people are more pacifist or whatever, they're nonviolent. But it's just such a throwaway line. And I feel like the person who would do this movie today would not handle it the same way. I feel like it would be handled a lot better. And I think that Buffalo Bill has plenty of room to be kind of a sad character. Like, there's a reason why all of us freaks out here that they keep like completely not listening to, and I won't get started on politics, but
it's okay. I already told them Hannibal could eat them, so go for it. Listen, the FBI agent is listening to this podcast right now. Look, going, get to her apartment. She knows where Hannibal is.
If you're going to make Buffalo Bill a trans person and you're going to make them the villain, the way to do it is just like, hey, when you don't help people out, bad shit happens. There's a reason why mental health is super fucking important. There's a reason why you need to talk to people. And because you don't want this horror to happen. And when Buffalo Bill, that same scene, when he's saying he puts the lotion on his skin that makes me crack up, it's sad.
Yeah.
Because then when she starts to cry, he starts to cry. He doesn't want to do it. He's sad. He doesn't like hearing her cry. He doesn't like doing it. And then he goes crazy and starts making fun of her. But it's like, that part is sad and it's interesting. It's like, oh, but that moment's really good. That's a good moment because it shows that he's not just a complete monster. Like, that's something to explore. That's something to go into. And instead, he's just a bad trans person.
Well, yeah, you also see he has a connection to his dog. Like, and it's such an emotional... First of all, I have seen this movie 100 times, and every time I watch it, I think she's going to snap that dog's neck in an instant, and I'm so freaked. And I'm
always very worried about the dog.
I know he lives. Spoiler alert. The dog survives, everybody. You can watch it. The dog lives in the end of this one.
Well, the dog lives, and that dog is a very famous dog actor and went on to do many other films.
Yeah. Super famous.
And Elvira said that he was an asshole.
Womp, womp, womp. He's not violent because of what he wants to be doing. He's definitely had a mental break. And you notice that from the way the house is. The house is a mess. It is disgusting. And you can tell there's something immediately wrong. It's definitely a situation where a mental health professional should have been called in to deal with this. Because, Christina, your house is not a mess. Like, literally, when Clarice comes into the house and is like, oh, you have the business card? And the tables are full of business card. The tables are full of old mail. There's junk everywhere. It is a mess. And you can tell, like, he knows how to keep himself clean. He knows how to keep things clean. He's telling a girl in a hole, it puts the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again. He's holding the dog like, put it in the basket. Put it in the basket. I can't do a Buffalo Bill to save my life. That accent is so...
like just puts the lotion on its skin.
Yeah.
It's so
well, he's so wistful. He's holding that dog like he's like Dame Judi Dench. Just like, it puts the lotion on its skin or else it gets in the hose again. Like, it's so obvious.
Energy. It's so good.
It is good. And I think that he would have fared better if the emphasis was on him being a mentally unstable character versus him trying to be a transgendered character. Because the mental instability of Buffalo Bill is what makes him interesting.
They do try to give an out with Hannibal saying that he's not a real trans person. But
that just sounds like a Republican being like, you're not gay.
Exactly. That's
you
how
had a
I
choice.
took it too. That's how I took it too. And in years past, I thought I gave it the out.
Yeah.
In years past, when I watched the movie, I was like, there's the out right there. So therefore, I can enjoy it. And this time around, I'm like, who the fuck is he to say he's not really trans?
Yeah. Oh, because you're a therapist? Yeah, okay. You also eat people. Like...
It's the like, are you sure you're gay? It's not just a phase.
Yes. That's exactly how it comes across in the movie. It's just kind of like...
exactly it.
I think it's a choice.
Well, he's killed a bunch of women to try and cut up their skin. Is it still just a phase?
Yeah. I know it's mommy issues, and we need to discuss that. And that never comes up in the film at all. Yeah. Hannibal's first response shouldn't have been, oh, he's a fake trans. It should have been, this guy has issues with his mother hardcore. And that would have reframed everything. Yeah. And it wouldn't have been an issue like it is now.
Well, the interesting thing too is that Buffalo Bill is like this long line of characters inspired by Ed Gein.
Yeah.
So it's like Ed Gein, and then there's Psycho, and then there's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Silence of the Lambs. It's like all of these characters are all kind of connected, and so they all, even in Psycho, you've got, he's not chopping up bodies, but it's animals. He's stuffing animals, so he's playing with dead bodies. So that's always like this long chain of different people or different characters taking portions of a real story. So all of them have issues with their mom. They're all cutting up bodies somehow. They all kill women. There's always a little bit of a queer component to it, whether it's just maybe they're gay or asexual or something. There's somewhere on the spectrum there. And I don't know, man. It's just, you could do it, but not like this.
Yeah, and there's also a loneliness to all of those characters, too.
Yeah.
Incredibly alone. Like, when you talk about Leatherface, his face is leather because he wears the skins of individuals, people. When you talk about him, so it's not real leather, it's leather. That's people leather. When you talk
I don't like you wearing leather because animals shouldn't be worn like that. Well, it's a human.
Yeah,
so
it's pleather, people leather. Don't worry about it.
I don't like hurting animals either.
But like when you talk about Leatherface,
this is Sarah right
specifically, he is the closest to Buffalo Bill in that the wearing of the skin sort of situation, and even when you talk about Leatherface, he is surrounded by his family. What a family! But he also lives in a basement. You know. He's set apart from his entire family. He's hidden behind a door, for Christ's sakes. No one ever sees him. And I feel like if comparing Leatherface to Buffalo Bill is an easier comparison than comparing Buffalo Bill to, you know, anyone in the transgender community, because Buffalo Bill himself hides himself in his basement. His true self is in his basement. You know, he's this crazed homicidal maniac with mental instability, but he can still go out in society as himself and just be fine. Although he does also borrow the whole help me get my couch in a van thing from a very another prolific serial killer.
Man, I'm guilty of being too nice sometimes. Like when I was watching her and he's like struggling with the couch and he's got the cast. There was one time where there was this lady who couldn't figure out the mail box that we have like in our area, and I helped her out. I'm like, man, I help people a lot, probably more than I should. Like out when I'm at the grocery store or something, like I probably shouldn't help people as much. But I'm not getting a fucking van to help with that couch. Girl, what are you talking about?
Jesse helps people carry strollers up the stairs at subway stations. I'm like, don't go backwards. Don't go backwards up the stairs. You don't know if they're working with somebody. They're going to bop you on the head. Next thing you know, I'm getting ransom notes. Don't do that. Please don't. Please don't die.
Don't let Jesse get kidnapped.
Yeah. Honestly, reading the book and watching the movie, 100% Buffalo Bill would have come for me. 100%. My skin is soft. Because I do.
Your boobies.
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 Buffalo
You would have
Bill.
looked at them like, that's a good vest for me.
Yeah, I've been like, I can make 2 pockets with those. I think that can hold an iPhone 11.
You know, one thing I did like though in the movie, because when they're talking about the girls and like the ones that are getting
Well, you said getting
taken.
Quick, call Liam Neeson. They've been taken.
No, usually in movies when they say that a girl is Rubenesque, like they're maybe a size like 8.
Yeah.
Like, they're not really that big. And I did appreciate like when you see in the autopsy scene, like it is a what you would consider like a plus size woman. And I was like, at least they got like a body that is actually a larger
normal
body. It's not just someone with a big butt. Like.
Yeah. Oh my god, and I love the scene when she is singing along to Tom Petty in the car before she gets abducted. Because
I love that part too. I loved it.
Watching that scene really did solidify the fact that I would be taken by Buffalo Bill 100%. Like, I know better than to get in a van with a creepy guy. Like, if somebody's having problems with their couch, first thing I would have done is like, hold on. Hey, Joss, you want to help me lift this couch up with this weird guy with a cast? You know, always safety in numbers, ladies. But also, watching her sing along to that song, I'm like, that is me. I do that all the time. Cleaning the apartment, you know, going for a walk with Zuzu. I am constantly... The amount of times I have listened to that, like any Tom Petty song, period.
Yeah.
I would have been taken. If we're basing it off of that. If you listen to Tom Petty and you've got large breasts, you're going to get taken by Buffalo Bill.
I like how you see yourself with the victim, and for me, I'm just looking at Buffalo Bill, like, I would hang out with him. Like, do you want me to help feed these, like, moths shit they got back here?
How many challenges do you think Buffalo Bill would survive on RuPaul's Drag Race? Because he can sew.
Well, he can do the sewing challenge.
He can sew. Sure. Buffalo Bill can sew. I've seen.
He can dance.
Yeah, he can dance and he can sew.
Lip sync for your life.
Yeah. I would say maybe 3 before he got chocolated.
The problem, though, would be Ru comes in at the beginning of an episode like, weren't there 7 of you?
Yeah. No, it's not a problem because most of the drag queens, unless somebody like Pork Chop was on or Cornbread, you know what I mean? Because Bill has a type.
Can you imagine Cornbread, like the way Cornbread does the eyes? Like,
Buffalo Bill walks into the room and it's just... hold on.
In a kimono.
Buffalo Bill's entrance is Night of 1,000 Madonnas. And he just walks in doing the dance. And then Cornbread's already at the table and goes, oh.
I see it so clear.
It's so good. It is so good. It is so good. And then the other queens are like, and your name is? Girl. You just let anybody in the workroom these days.
That's the problem. Like, I don't know. I like Buffalo Bill. I think he's cool.
It's a problematic writing of a character.
Yes.
100% just the wrong interpretation of what is going on. Mm-hmm. And Jonathan Demme knows this. He didn't realize it at the time, which I think is so hard to believe. I mean... The person who worked with the talking heads the most, I think it's so hard to believe that they wouldn't understand how problematic something like this would appear on film. Mm-hmm. And sure, maybe a lot of stuff happened in editing. I'm going to try and give him the benefit of the doubt. But since then, he has come back and like done a lot of interviews and was just like, I can't believe I did that. I'm so sorry. Yeah. But the thing that bothered me about this is that he didn't do a lot of those interviews right away. Yeah. Instead, he heard the backlash about what was happening and went,
double down.
I'm going to do Philadelphia next. Like, okay, like you can. Yeah, 100%. But like, we just really wanted you to apologize. I mean, sure, make me cry over Tom Hanks, but could you like apologize first for what you did here? I do love Philadelphia.
And, Ted Levine, I was looking up his name. I was like, I can't remember Buffalo Bill's name. Yeah. Ted Levine has also come out and said similar things, like thinking like he's like, I would have never in a million years wanted to offend anybody. Yeah. And at the time, you know, it happened, and he was like, he said something about how just being a male actor playing gay parts, like it was already a risk to do, basically. And he thought that he was actually doing kind of like a good thing. And how he's like, it's a really mixed bag. A lot of people send me fan mail and they're like, it was nice just to be seen. Yeah. And he's like, but then I get a lot of other fan mail, and I understand where they're coming from, and I'm so sorry that, you know, it came off that way to some people. It sucks. It sucks. I feel like if it's just like one more edit, one more rewrite, and they would have been okay.
Just add in the line that he has mommy issues, and the whole thing is like completely different. Yeah. It's a completely different scenario there. And then we, as the viewer, can interpret what those mother issues are. Was it, you know, no, like, you know what I mean? Like, kind of like when you're thinking about Jaws. You don't see the
Yeah.
monster, but you know the monster's there.
Yeah.
So we're not seeing whatever the mom did to him, but we're seeing the effects of that on him. And it's like, okay, was there sexual assault? Was it one of those situations where his mom dressed him as a girl growing up because she wanted a daughter, not a son? Like, is it just this mental abuse consistently going on in his life until he couldn't take it anymore? Did he kill his mom?
Yeah.
These are all the big questions that I was left with after reading the book, because
Yeah.
they say that in the book. They're like, he had mommy issues and this is how he's dealing with it. He doesn't want to change who he is. He wants to become kind of like closer to his mom by developing the perfect mother. And it's like, that's messed up.
Yeah.
That is crazy. What'd your mom do to you? Let's make a checklist, Bill, and let's go through it and talk about it. And that's not what you get with the film.
Yeah.
And I wish you did, because, I mean, even now, thinking about that, I'm like, there are so many things that could have happened in his childhood. You know, they should make a prequel to Silence of the Lambs, and it's all about Buffalo Bill. Would watch.
Yeah.
No,
honestly, and that's where, with the freaking Hannibal show, when it ended, I think it ended because it was a mixture of the budget and not enough viewership to substantiate a somewhat large budget for a TV show. And then on top of it, they were opening the talks to some sort of other Silence of the Lambs TV show that ended up becoming the Clarice TV show. And it's kind of a shame, because you think about what they were doing with the characters and looking into stuff and how they did like the Last Red Dragon thing. I haven't read the books for the other one, so who knows. But think about what they could have done with a Buffalo Bill for an entire season, maybe even 2 seasons of Buffalo Bill and Silence of the Lambs. Like, they could have absolutely gone into a lot of detail with it.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Yeah, and especially when you go back and you look at the book and at mostly the book, because it's not really talked about in the movie, the reason Hannibal knows everything that he does about him is from somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many layers that could have been. This is a very Better Call Saul situation.
Yeah.
And I would watch. I can't even begin to tell you how much HBO Max, Stars, anybody wants to do it. I would watch in a heartbeat. Are you kidding me? I'd be obsessed with it, because you can dig so deep. Jonathan Demme, would you like to fix your mistakes? Here's the premise. A show about Buffalo Bill. There you go. Throwing it out there. You can tell us what happened to him, because we don't have that. He's not mentioned in any of the other books. I looked to make sure he wasn't mentioned, because if he was, I was like, Christina got me into another situation where it's a James Bond and I needed to read the other one and I didn't. And no, I don't think it follows the last one.
I
It'll be
don't
fine.
think so.
But all you need to do, tell us what happened. Bring it on, Jonathan Demme. I'll be waiting. I told you, he could redeem himself. Told you I was going to let you have it.
It is funny how, we've been talking for as long as we have, and we have not talked about Hannibal too much.
No, because
we're going more in line with the book.
Yes. Although I do want to talk about the end of the book versus the end of the movie.
Well, before we get there was one thing that made me laugh very hard. So Hannibal, I like Hannibal. I think that him as a character is totally freaking cool. And part of me is sad that I didn't read this when I was a teenager, because Hannibal Lecter is exactly the type of character I would have been obsessed about when I was a teenager. But there's
some
so
girls have
that?
NSYNC posters on their wall. Christina's got this floor to ceiling Anthony Hopkins, the white suit and the mask.
No, honestly, when in high school, my bedroom was covered in movie posters, and it was all fucking weird shit. So
it still
possibly.
Shh. Don't listen to her. It still is. I can see her room right now. Look at all that weird stuff in there. Girl, why are you so crazy? Why are you so crazy? That's okay. She can see mine. I'm also crazy. It's fine. Get her away from me. Annabelle, go home. That was a mistake. I sent Christina an Annabelle doll for Christmas to spook her husband so he wouldn't open up the gifts early. And now she just uses it to spook me. If it makes you feel any better, the first time I brought it home, I put it in the bed. And I made the bed and put her underneath the blankets. So when Jesse went to bed, he pulled the blankets back and she was lying there. He was so mad.
But that's almost like in the Girls Next Door episode when Elvira shows up and she goes into Bridget's bedroom and she's like, why do you have Woof Woof in a bassinet next to your bed? And Bridget goes, where else is he going to sleep?
Yeah. It made perfect sense. Where
else is going to sleep?
Yeah.
Where else is she going to sleep, Jessie?
Yeah. She needs to sleep in a bed. Do you want her to get angry with you?
No, Hannibal Lecter is such a cool character, and like one thing that I just thought was really cool, and it was really well done in the movie too, but it was pretty cool in the book, is his sense of smell and how he's got this like crazy Jaws shark kind of like superhero or supervillain type power of scent. Like it's almost like the perfume guy, the character in the book and movie Perfume. He's got like that level of scent, and it's really cool and very fucking creepy.
Yes.
And I was like, this is so creepy. But then the detail that's in the book that's not in the movie that made me laugh. He's a six-fingered man.
Yes. I kept thinking of the Princess Bride.
I did too. Every time they mentioned the sixth finger that he has, I'm like, is this Princess Bride again?
All I kept thinking was how funny would it be for Indigo Montoya to walk into that jail cell and be like, my name is Indigo Montoya. You have eaten my father. Prepare to die.
I look for the six-fingered man.
Have you seen a six-fingered man?
It was Hannibal Lecter the whole time.
It was a red herring. It was Hannibal who killed your father.
And you mentioned the ending of the book, and the sixth finger plays into like his escape in the end of the book. It just makes me laugh.
His escape at the end of the book.
Yeah, it's wild.
I love it so much, and it's so funny because the escape in the movie and in the book are kind of similar, except in the book he's not like this art aficionado when it comes to like, hanging up bodies and stuff. It's beautifully stunning in the film. Like, don't even, like, you see that room and you're like, oh my God, Picasso,
so nice.
Like, it's beautiful.
Is this the Met?
I could stay here for a little bit longer. What's going on? But the book describes it in a more realistic way. Because you watch the movie and you're like, I'm sorry, this guy is how old? And he not only fended off 2 guards, then he had the time to change his clothes, put a guard in an elevator, string up another one, and then lay down on the floor all before anybody noticed. Really? No. In the book, it is much more basic, and I think that's what makes it scarier. I think the book version is scarier. Because instead of, like, stringing up a guy and all this stuff, no one knows this has happened. There's no elevator dinging downstairs to let everyone know this has happened. They even mention this towards the end of the book, that they think he actually called the ambulance himself because he didn't want to wait around forever for someone to find him.
Which is a very Hannibal thing to do, too.
It's a very me thing, too. Like, you're playing hide and seek, you're like, I'm done. Just find me. He uses his sixth finger to distract. To distract them while these 2 guards, I feel so bad for them because the thing is, they were mad at Chilton, too.
Yeah.
They were so tired of Chilton's rules. His whole rule was like, you have to put him in the straitjacket and get him all hooked up and then chain him up to the bars, then bring him his food, then do the reverse. And these 2 guys are like, no, this guy is nothing but sweet and kind to us. We're just going to do our thing. But Hannibal had been hiding the thing for the pen. What is it? The inside of a pen, and inside of it was a paperclip. They never explain how he got that paperclip, though.
No.
So I assume...
Flat hole, throw the whole book out.
Set it on fire, start over again. But they lock him up with his hands behind his back against the bars of the jail cell. And he's just like, he's going to be distracted by my sixth finger. I'll just hide it in my other hand. And he gets out, and he bashes in the brains of one of them with a baton.
Yeah.
And then he, like, does the same to the other guy. Like, completely disfigures him. He does hide him in the elevator shaft. But he's just laying there on the ground, and he gets taken away, right away, rushed out. There's none of this, like, a bunch of armed guys downstairs waiting for an elevator to show up so they can go upstairs and find him. It's And that's, like, the fact that it's so basic makes it scarier because you're like, what is actually going on here? You know?
I also think sometimes that smaller horrors, when they are allowed to breathe, are more disturbing than big horror. So what was I talking about? There was a movie. Oh, I remember. There was a movie. You Will Never Be Alone or something like that. It was a really good movie, and there was a part of it where it's just like her fingernail is getting bent back and like very, very slowly, and she's slowly like bleeding, and it's a long scene, like several minutes, and it was really disturbing and really like fucked up. And I was just saying, like, that part was scarier and more disturbing to watch than like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre that's nothing but gore and blood at the screen. Like, especially the remakes and stuff. Like, I would much rather not. I'd rather watch that lady's fingernail get bent back. It's a weird thing to say. I like sometimes small horror like that than big stuff. Even like in Hostel, like the part in Hostel that always scared me was the Achilles heel.
Oh my god, we cannot talk about it. We cannot talk about it.
But that to me is far more disturbing.
Yeah.
Than like at the end with her eyes getting all like bugged out and stuff. Like that part is scary to me. So sometimes like with Hannibal, and it's funny because you see it in the TV show where it goes from, and we haven't read the other books, but it goes from, you know, what he did to those two guards to this like artistic to display to then you get to the Hannibal TV show and the guy's putting up fucking like you would need like 20 men from like the Notre Dame construction crew to figure out how to display this chick with her lungs out like a butterfly and like all this stuff. Like, there's no way one guy did it.
You could easily catch him because he's the only guy who keeps renting out a genie lift from Home Depot. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. And he's the only one with a giant pulley system in the back of his truck.
He's like, don't worry about it. Why do you have
all these harnesses covered in blood?
What's with the scaffolding? I didn't know you own a construction company. Like, I don't. Like, you know.
Have you ever tried to move a person or like a dog that's just dead weight?
Yeah.
You know how hard it is to move someone who's dead weight?
And he's doing it by himself. This is why I think there must be a secret partner. He cannot be doing this all on his own. It's impossible.
Hannibal Gate.
Exactly. Like, unless he kills the person and while they're still semi-alive before, like, everything gets in there, he puts them in one of those old lady granny grocery carts to help him push them. But then you've got, like, rigor mortis that could set in, and then they're all crunched up inside an old lady cart. I don't know how he does it. But I agree with you that it's the smaller stuff that's scarier, and I think it's because it's more believable in your everyday life. Like, the Achilles. I cannot talk about it because the close up on that is a beautifully shot, just a quick slice. And that is something that people were talking about was happening in parking lots. People were hiding under cars and slicing people's ankles. Why? I don't know. People just have a lot of free time, I guess. But like, it was just, that is something that could physically happen to me. Or like when, the other thing that gets me is, Cabin Fever, when the woman is shaving her leg.
I haven't seen that movie in ages. Probably since it like first came out.
Pancakes! Stupid kid at the end. But the scene in Cabin Fever, she has the disease and she's shaving her leg, and like a strip of flesh comes off.
Should I rewatch this movie? I don't remember it.
I would rewatch it. There are some parts in it that are really, really good, and some parts where I'm kind of just like nauseated by it. Yeah. But I think that's the point. You're supposed to feel kind of sick because of the sickness. But yeah, that part gets me too, because it's one of those things where I'm kind of like, I don't know, maybe I dig too deep, because you nick yourself with a razor all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, no, I cannot do this.
You know one thing I did one time? You want to talk about horror show?
Uh-oh.
One time I dropped my razor and it hit my toe.
Oh, no.
And I don't know what freak accident, like all the momentum and the angle and everything, it actually shaved just the tiniest part of my nail off my big toe, and then also sliced part of the skin of the toe. I was freaking out. I like immediately like left the shower, and it's fine. My toe's fine, everybody. It survived. But it looked janky. It looked messed up.
If they put these everyday occurrences in a horror movie, I would be vomiting into my popcorn bucket. I'd be so tensed up that I'd just be like, you gotta get me out of here, man. I'm sweating.
Christina, what's the most horrific scene you've ever seen? You've watched so many horror movies. What do you think? You know that part in Jackass when they give each other paper cuts in between the webbing of their fingers? That one.
I can feel, you said it and I can feel it. God, no. Oh, no. Oh, no.
I know. Look at how holy I'm like,
you can't see my toes, but they're all curled.
Nikki and I both have our hands in like fists right now.
Just like rubbing my hands down my pants, like make it go away. It's like, these are the things. Like, if Hannibal had given them 100 paper cuts and we got to watch every one, I get horror beyond horror. Stringing someone up like an angel to me is kind of like, oh, that's artistic, that's fine. 1,000 paper cuts? I don't think so. I could not watch it. Like, and I couldn't even watch the opening to Dexter when he, like, flosses his teeth and he wraps a floss around his fingers and it's that close-up of it. And I'm just like, I can't.
Yeah.
There's just like, There's certain little things like that. No, I'm good. Listen, if you make a horror movie and the person talks with vocal fry the whole time, it's just like, oh my God. And then, like, they, like, accidentally shave off a part of their thigh shaving. No. They get paper cuts. No.
There is something, you mentioned Dexter, which is ironic because I was thinking about Dexter with Hannibal, because Hannibal, listen, killing and eating people, I don't condone it.
Yeah.
But if you're rude,
yeah,
maybe you deserved it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. If I were able to, like, kill and eat all the people that I don't like, maybe I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't.
I'd be living a better life.
I'm just saying, sometimes with Hannibal, I get it. That's all I'm saying.
You're like, wow, Christina, your friend group really went down to just me. That's so interesting.
I still love the RuPaul's Drag Race, and there's Buffalo Bill, and RuPaul's like, weren't there 7 of you? Yeah. Just one of them's missing. We don't know where they went.
Oops. Oops, it's chocolate. It's just like, yeah, I think that the movie went a little too far. Mm-hmm. Because the other thing that I really love, too, was in the book when Hannibal tells her to go check out the
car?
Yeah, the vintage car. And that scene between the book and the movie are completely different, too.
Yes.
And I love the description of it in the book where it's this, the head is in a jar on this mannequin's body. Yeah. And it's got like a weird carved wooden penis. And that's another instance where you see Clarice in that moment. And if it had been shot the same way in the movie, I think she would have had a disgusted face. Yes. And instead in the book, she's just like, Jesus Christ, come on. She's just like fed up, and then she's like, God, it's huge. Like, what is it? What is this? You know, like, she's not bothered by it in the same way.
See, and this is where I'm so torn, though, because I love that reaction in the book, and I loved that scene. I thought it was very cool. Yeah. And I remembered when I got to that part that it was different than the movie, and I was like, oh, this is cool. This is different. But then I watched the movie again, and there's a different part of the same scene when it's like she's going under the door. Yeah. And as she's going under the door, she passes the guy her card, and she's like, just in case, you know, this falls or something else happens. And she kind of like laughs, and she's like, you can call them for me. He's like, okay. And the way she said it is different than the Clarice in the book, but that's how I would say it. Yeah. Like, if I were her, that's 100%. Like, if I'm going, I'm like, okay, so this might go south, guys. If I end up dead, here's who you need to call. That's exactly how I would say it. So it's like I like the book and I like the movie, and I think the book is probably better, but there's still stuff I like in the movie.
Okay, when it comes to the very end, the very, very end of both the book and the movie, before we say what happens and how they're completely different, Which ending did you actually like more?
I liked the book ending more.
Mm-hmm. Same.
But I still found myself with the movie ending when... Well, I guess the movie ending with her and Buffalo Bill, I still like.
Yeah.
But that's still kind of like not like the full ending, I guess. So, the book,
Yeah. So, the book and the movie are completely different when it comes to the end. Like, so different that I was actually taken aback because I assumed there'd be more Hannibal in the book because his whole ending.
Again, we haven't talked that much about Hannibal.
We really haven't. We're going to maybe.
Well,
I mean, there's not much to say. Exactly. When his whole arc ends before they catch Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
Which I thought was completely interesting because I was like, no, in the movie, he's like there like the whole time. Yeah. And after he escapes the makeshift jail and, you know, kills the hospital worker, he kills a tourist in the area and drives himself to a hotel as this tourist, I imagine. Because they kind of don't explain how he got that hotel room. But he is staying across the street from a hospital that specifically does facial reconstructive surgery. Like, lots of plastic surgery going on here. And he did it so that he could walk around scot-free with bandages all over his face and no one would look at him. And he escapes by giving himself a whole new look. He even says he's going out and he's buying hair dye and all of this other, like, medical stuff so that he can change his whole appearance and just leave. And that, to me, was so frightening that this guy just was able to do... Like, he kills a guy, checks in under his name, goes about changing his entire persona. We're never going to... Like, I know there's other books, but as you're reading this, you're like, we're never going to see him again.
Yeah.
We're never going to see this man again. He's
gone. It almost just feels kind of like a 1940s movie.
Yeah.
Like there is a movie with Humphrey Bogart where he goes and gets facial reconstructive surgery and he's a criminal and then that way he can escape. And it's a little hokey and like very old pulpy type storyline. It's weird.
But I love that after that and after she catches Buffalo Bill, she gets a letter from him and he's like, oh God, I have it. I have exactly what he says to her. Is that, well, Clarice, have the lambs stopped screaming? And I'm like, oh my God! Oh my God! And you know what? It doesn't bother her. And he basically says to her straight up, like, you're going to sleep so well right now because you did something so good. You did something great, but you know what? It's going to come back. And you're going to have to keep topping it and topping it and topping it because it's never going to go away. And you're just like, oh my God. And she goes to bed. That's the end of the book. We know Clarice's story has ended. It's put her away. The movie, though, what I like about the movie is he runs away and he's in an island. He doesn't look any different. Like, if I were to walk through hey, aren't you that guy who ate people? Like, whatever. And he's actually going to kill Chilton, which is good. I don't mind this.
Like, no, that's not me.
Yeah. Okay, you're not super. Like, he acts like he's Superman. Like, if he changes his hair color.
My glasses.
Look at you, the Incredible Hulk over here.
Too.
Like broken.
They're broken. Look.
Oh wait, what's the spell from Harry Potter that we can use? Oculus Reparo.
No.
Oculus Reparo.
It's like Octopus Preparo.
I like that you were going to make him fly, Miss Wingardium Leviosa over there.
Here, I can still...
Oh, I feel so bad. Hey, guys, if anyone wants to donate some money to Christina's I Need New Glasses fund.
These were $35, everybody. Please give me $35.
When this is over, remind me to talk to you about a place where I get my eyeglasses.
Okay.
You can get them for $6.
$6? I can get so many for $35.
Yeah. We're going to get her so many glasses. And if anyone else wants to know, I'll tell you guys, but you got to send me $30.
No, the thing that makes me laugh about it is thinking about Hannibal in disguise. The guy's kind of creepy. Like, you can't miss him.
No. He looks the same.
It's the same thing as you said about the like Count Olaf. They like, look at the creep.
Yes. He's just there. He's there. He's like stalking kind of weird too. Like, it's like, do something different. And then all of a sudden he's like walking. He's like, you know what I mean? Like, no, dude. Like, you're not fooling anybody.
There's also sometimes like movies that have been made fun of so much that it's hard to watch without thinking of the way that they've been made fun of. So for me, it's kind of like watching some of the prequels, like Revenge of the Sith. Yeah. There's so many memes about that movie. It's hard to not think about them. And like with this one, like the first shot that you see of Hannibal Lecter when he's just standing there. And there's the one I've seen so many times. It's like when I threw up at 2:00 in the morning and go to tell my parents. And it's just Hannibal Lecter standing there like with his arms out.
Oh my god. You know what? They couldn't have done Hannibal. If they were to redo this movie, they wouldn't have been able to do it in COVID times because the minute he put a mask on, everyone would be like, wait a minute, I remember you. Let's get a stupid mask on. But the thing that I found interesting about the ending to the movie is he calls her. Hello. Everybody listens to his voice. Everyone knows who he is. Everyone knows what he sounds like. Like, and the guy who picks up the phone is like, Clarice got a call. Like anything at all. She's like, okay, cool. And she picks up the phone, and it's Hannibal, and he kind of says the same thing. Like, have stop screaming, Clarice. And then the end of the movie is her screaming into the phone.
Yeah.
Dr. Lecter. Dr. Lecter. Dr. Lecter.
This voice?
No, but
it's pretty good.
I'm doing really well. The longer we record, the better I get. But
Dr. Lecter.
But that
I can't do it as well.
I kind of imagine that is her lamb's screaming now. You know what I mean? Her lamb screaming is just Dr. Lecter.
Dr. Lecter. Dr.
Lecter. It's over and over. You get what I mean? Like,
say the line again. Say the card line again.
Wait, which
like, here's my card.
Oh, the business card?
The business card with Buffalo Bill.
Yeah. You got the business card?
I don't know why it's killing
and it's just like, here. And she's like, stay where you are. Don't move. And he does one of these where he's like, like dodges out of the way. It's like, what is going on here? Dr. Lecter.
Dr. Lecter. I wish I could do the voice as well as you do it. I can't. It's honestly, it really is close to a Holly Hunter voice.
It really is.
About her in Batman v Superman, like what is the line she says? Is like, Grandma's sweet peach tea. You trying to sell me piss is Grandma's sweet peach tea. It's more, you trying to sell me piss is Grandma's.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got to do the whole face. Ever since you said the Holly Hunter thing, it just kind of clicked. Dr. Lecter. It's just like right out the corner.
Oh, I sounded more like it too. Dr. Lecter.
That's it. You got to talk out.
It's like throwing your voice almost.
Hey guys, welcome to our acting podcast. Today we're going to teach you how to talk like both Holly Hunter and Clarice Starling. Dr. Lecter.
You still do it better than me.
Dr. Lecter. Business card.
Now, there's something about
Buffalo
the
Bill.
I need to mention before I forget.
Okay.
Howard Shore did the score.
Yes.
For this film. And I didn't, watch the credits where his name came in. And at some point in the movie, 45 minutes in, I was like, is this Howard Shore? And I looked it up, and I'm like, it's Howard Shore. And Howard Shore is Howard Shore is a really great score artist. The best is Lord of the Rings, but he's good. But there's something about Silence of the Lambs and his score and a little bit of the directing and even I was about to say Holly Hunter. Jodie
Jodie
Foster is really pretty. Like Jodie Foster
Yeah.
is very pretty in this movie, and there's a lot of like good stuff. But there's something about it that has that late '80s look and feel and sound. And Howard Shore at times has the aesthetic of like wallpaper, and that's what the movie kind of is. And it was throwing me a little bit because I'm like, this movie just sort of feels like you went into a hotel room and there's like pink and blue art from the 80s. Like that's kind of what like the feeling of this movie. And in a way I liked it. Like in a way it sort of made me very nostalgic of like being a kid and getting movies from Blockbuster, because it's like Howard Shore. Like that's your childhood watching that shit. But in another way it felt a little dated. Like they need to remake this movie.
It was beige.
Beige, yeah. Very beige.
It was beige was the color of the 80s. Everybody in this movie came out in 1991. Everybody is beige. Beige from head to toe. And she's got that, I'll tell you this though, she's got that long, like, duster jacket situation going on. And I was like, I need a duster jacket. I don't know what's happening to me in the 3 years of COVID, but I recently had my wisdom teeth taken out, and all I did was watch Beverly Hills 90210 season 1 and season 2, and all I want to do now is dress like early 90s. So this movie was right up there for me. Like I watched Taxi over December and January, and it kind of became a little obsessed with like the late 70s clothing. Yeah.
And then now I'm watching Cheers, and let me tell you, the other day, Ted Danson wore a red corduroy jacket with elbow pads, and it's extreme, like 1985, I think, very mid-80s. I want that so bad. I want to wear it so bad.
I love it. I think we have moved. Christina and I both went through a long period of very much like 1950s, 1940s.
As you do.
Yeah, I think most girls went through that period. Like, let me tell you, the amount of hairspray I wasted using Victory Rolls. Like, come on. I think I have moved into a new. I think we've both really moved into a new period.
Matured.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're running in a running up that road. we are get him to change our places. We are running towards a new like fashion look for ourselves, and I think for the two of us it's very 70s, 80s, and very early 90s. I think that period stops with grunge for us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I've seen some photos of me from elementary school, and let me tell you, if you guys want to talk about grunge, I was basically like grunge baby extreme. And let me tell you, it's like 1992 school photos in elementary school, and I'm wearing like this giant plaid dress with like black leggings. My hair is just stick straight down, like boots. Fabulous. If I could find that outfit in adult sizes today, I know you're looking for your red pants, Christina.
Oh, if you don't think I'm definitely in the market for some new tacky ass, loud red leopard print pants, let me tell you, you wrong.
When this is over, I'm gonna tell you all the places you should start looking for all of that stuff, because basically I'm just trolling the internet right now for everything that brings back my childhood.
Yeah.
If y'all got some New Kids on the Block t-shirts from like 1991, I definitely want them. Please.
Not 1982.
No.
Get out of here with that shit.
Yeah, I want it to be a white shirt with some funky graphic in the center and a lot of loud color. And I'm going to wear it with black jeans. This is my life now. I don't go anywhere. I just want to dress like I'm cool. I'm not cool. Spoiler alert. Anyways, yes. So, question, Christina. Does he eat Chilton on the island?
Yes.
Do you think Chilton tasted good or bad?
I think Chilton tasted terrible.
Yeah.
Chilton's definitely one that he's going to need to do like a slow marinade and get some good flavors in there. Like tenderize it, get the meat real good. Maybe even do like a chopped ground meat and then put it in some lettuce cups with like a bunch of like Thai seasoning.
Ooh, like
that would be delightful.
Like a sweet chili sauce.
A sweet Chilton sauce.
I definitely think that, I think that if he needed somebody to help, like, tenderize and, like, beat up Chilton, I'm available. Call Clarice, she's available. But could you imagine the most epic crossover that would ever happen? Mrs. Lovett and Hannibal Lecter.
They'd love each other. Oh my god.
Yeah. I think he would kill her at some point, but he would have her around for an extended period of time.
Listen, Miss Lovett doesn't have the best taste in men.
No,
actually, maybe she's got great taste in men.
You know who has great taste? Hannibal.
I think there's 2 words for her and Hannibal, and it's power couple.
Yep. I would support this.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, they would definitely be raking in the dough, trust me. Actually, here's the deal. Hannibal would kill her because he would taste her cooking and be like, awful. Horrendous.
Yeah, she can't cook very well.
She does. She's not a good cook. She says so herself. He would definitely have to be both killer and cooker. And that's why he would kill her.
Have you had weird food, like livers and organs and brain and all that stuff at all?
I had rabbit once.
You watched me eat some weird food.
I watched you eat pig's ear.
Yeah.
And you were obsessed with it.
It was okay. I've had a lot of weird food and I've had organs before.
Yeah.
And so it kind of freaks me out watching the Hannibal TV show because most of what he makes, I'm like, it looks good to me.
I've never eaten that stuff and it looks good to me. Like, he plates it and I'm like, I don't know what this is, but if you want to invite me to your 4th of July barbecue, I'll be there. I'm sure it's going to taste amazing. I do worry about, like, because there are a lot of serial killers in real life who have chopped up their victims and served them to other people.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the emotional toll that you would have to go, like, it's bad enough that some of these people were actually, like, seeing Hannibal as the therapist. Now you have to pay another therapist because your first therapist fed you another guy. Like, is this covered by your health insurance?
So does Hannibal have, like, 0 out of 5 stars on his Yelp page?
Yeah. Like, if you miss a payment, does he eat you? Like,
I also wonder, it's sort of like when, you know, stuff comes out, like Me Too kind of stuff. It's like, well, I get that they were like that with those people, but for me, they were perfectly fine people, so it's hard for me to, you know, weigh in on this issue. Like, can you imagine the person that's like, he actually made me have a breakthrough moment with my OCD. He was a great therapist. I didn't hear anything about the other stuff.
Yeah. Then you start investigating that guy, and he's got, like, a closet full of bones. Those aren't mine.
They were gifts from Hannibal.
Yeah. Is there anything else we need to... Is there anything else we need to discuss about the book or the movie? I mean, there's a lot, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's the thing, is there's a lot, but I think we hit the peaks, and it's funny because I thought... I was worried. I didn't know where we were going to land, but we're actually pretty much about the same.
Yeah. Before we started recording, Christina was like, I don't know where you're going to go, but I think it's the opposite direction.
I thought you were
going
to, like, hate, like, one of them, like, outright completely.
No. Not outright completely. I think both offers what you're looking for, but they sacrifice a lot to get you there. So it's kind of, like, it's upsetting in some ways, but at the same time, I think you and I both agree, like, overall, the book was better.
I would say the book is better, but I would still recommend both to a lot of people.
I mean, the Academy thought it was the only horror genre film to ever be good enough for an Academy Award, but that's neither here nor there.
I want to make this very clear to everybody.
Yeah.
This is not a horror film.
It is not a horror film.
This is a thriller.
And it's not even a psychological thriller. It is just straight thriller.
Yeah, this is a procedural drama film.
Yes.
Akin, like, thriller adjacent with some horror elements.
Yes.
This is not a horror film.
Just because there is violence portrayed does not make it a horror film.
7 is not a horror film.
7 is a psychological thriller.
Yes.
That is 100% psychological thriller. Hannibal is just a thriller. I mean, Silence of the Lambs. You know what I'm talking about. Shut up, everybody.
I I get so tired, and I get really annoyed around this time of year because this is when I start to really ramp up my horror movie watching in anticipation of Halloween. And I get so freaking annoyed all the time because I'm like always looking for horror movies, looking for top 10 or like new stuff, like the weird things that kind of get buried in like Hulu or Amazon that nobody talks about. Like those are the ones that I look for. And literally, like, probably 50% of the time, I'm like, this wasn't a horror movie. Like, this was maybe a okay movie, but it wasn't a horror movie.
Yeah. This isn't the type of movie that keeps me up at night.
Yeah.
That's what I think I need in a horror movie. Mm-hmm. Like, you have horror. Horror is the main genre. Then you have your slasher, which is off to the side. You've got...
That right there. I think horror movies that have any amount of supernatural stuff, like ghosts.
Yeah.
Like... Those are a lot easier to go like, okay, this is a horror movie.
Yeah.
Like that's part of that. But then just because you've got a Frankenstein monster, are you sure it's not sci-fi?
Yeah.
Sure. Because it might be just science fiction. And then if you got other stuff, are you sure it's not just a thriller? Because it might be.
I think we need to do a deeper dive into this, Christina, like legit. I think we need to do a bonus episode in October and be like, are you watching a horror movie?
Are you really watching a horror movie though?
Because it is true. When you look at, like, Invasion of the Body Snatchers is not horror. And it's not thriller. That is a sci-fi movie.
Shit out of me.
It's sci-fi.
Yeah.
You know? Like, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, also sci-fi.
That's sci-fi.
Like, you have these... But then when you go onto HBO and they try to dilute it to this one main genre.
Is Parasite a horror movie?
No.
Parasite is listed right now on Hulu under horror. So is Murder on the Nile.
Girl, do not. Enough champagne to fill the Nile. Do not watch this movie. Parasite is a psychological thriller.
What?
Parasite is a psychological thriller.
Right.
Parasite.
Yeah, exactly.
Parasite kept me...
That was fucked up.
I talked about it so much to everybody, and I could still talk. I'm going to start talking about it again. I forgot all about... Every time I see an automatic light go on. Don't do it. Shut up, don't do it. Every time I walk by an automatic light, I'm just like... Hello? Are you there?
There's a man buried in the basement.
Don't worry. Look out for our guide to Is It Horror coming soon.
Should we rank?
Yeah. Book list. Wah. That's a boat coming in. You know, because we're at the island at the end of the movie. I'm trying. Here, listen. It's been a long week. I tried. Book list. We do need some music for this. I'll get Jesse to work on it.
Can we just put in like the opening herald part of the Electro Magic Parade?
Yes. No, I want to do the whole thing. On this magic night. Oh, that's Spectro Magic. Yeah. A symphony of Spectro Magic.
Now we're gonna get sued by
Bob Chapek.
Maybe Miggs has something for him.
Listen, if Bob came after me, trust. You really want to talk about that? That's for our other podcast, Talking Disney, where we talk mad smack. That's not a real podcast, but it should be. Anyways, so...
Talking shit with Christina and Nikki.
What? We should just have one where we would just record everything.
Talk shit.
Honestly, you guys, we talk for about an hour before we actually start recording anything. We should just start recording those and dropping those as bonus episodes. I don't see a problem with that. It's mostly about RuPaul's Drag Race, everybody. Anyways... So we've redone the book list. Christina, can you see the book list right now? Does it look right? Uh-oh, I freaked you out. Last minute. On this magic night, Christina looks up the book list. Ba 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 ba. That's what you were talking about. Ba 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 ba. delusional, you guys. Running on fumes and iced coffee. She's reviewing it. Yeah, she gave the thumbs up. Okay, just wanted to make sure because we did make we made some big changes.
Yeah.
So,
but you know what? I look at this. This looks correct to me.
It does to me too. And this book list is so interesting to me.
It is.
Because every single book on here is something that I'm kind of like, I kind of want to go back.
I know. I like all of these books.
Yeah.
We haven't had a big dud this year at all.
And that's what makes it so hard.
Yeah, it makes it really hard. And these are all pretty, they're all good.
Yeah.
But this does look like a correct, like, page to screen list.
Yeah. All right.
I was worried at first when we first started. Well, no, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Okay, so the book list. The newly improved book list. Now that Christina's hiding. We start off with our 007 James Bond baby, Casino Royale. And
Forever Love.
Forever. The Princess Bride, Pride and Prejudice. The Commitments is coming in at 4th, followed by Silence of the Lambs, followed by Dr. No Means No, Yes Means Yes, The Patriarchy Has Got to Go, and that still rings true today. Number 7, Cinderella / Ever After. 8 is still William Wonka. 9, Bridget Jones. 10, How Stella Got Her Groove Back. 11, Mrs. Basil. And 12, Hidden Figures.
When Silence of the Lambs first started, it's near exact for many pages. Or for me, many minutes. So it's near exact. And I was like, oh, shoot, is this going to dethrone Casino Royale?
Yeah.
Like, I really thought that for a while. Even after some of the differences started to pop up, I'm like, this is still pretty close so far. And then we got some pretty big forks in the road. I'm like, okay, now we're getting into different
I know. I feel like every book I read starts off in the first position. And then as things start to change from...
Dunk.
I'm just like, like it takes an elevator straight down.
Well, it's like How Stella Got Her Groove Back. That one, if you're like watching it, that would be pretty high. But then the minute that that unnecessary scene comes in with her boyfriend, it's like boo 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 boo, like way down.
Yeah, we didn't need that. And like
no.
Hidden Figures is still a great book.
Yeah.
But the movie completely omits hundreds of people that are in the book, only whittling them down to 3 female characters, which honestly, don't mind. I love the 3 female characters, but you're missing so much of the point from the rest of it.
Yeah.
Jesse called me a computer the other day, by the way, and I have never felt so proud of myself.
Aww.
He was like, you know what you remind me of right now while you're working? I was like, what? And he's like, the computers from Hidden Figures. And I was like, oh my God. He thinks I'm smart. Shh, don't tell him I'm not, you guys.
You are smart. You're super smart. And Hannibal would want to mess with you.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Get inside your brain.
Hannibal would mess with me. Unfortunately, Buffalo Bill would kidnap me. So it's kind of like a lose-lose for me in a way. You don't want Lector in your brain.
It's not your fault that you have a nice rack and that Buffalo Bill would agree.
I'd be calling me like, Dr. Lector.
Dr. Lecter. I get kills me.
I think Dr. Lecter is the new Miranda.
Miranda?
Gets me every time.
Miranda.
Miranda.
Miranda. Miranda?
I can't. Dr.
You know what? I told you, right?
Oh
the thing that my husband Carlos is doing to me now. Because I'm very afraid of God, what's his name? The bad guy in Spectre.
Oh.
No, wait.
Vecna in Stranger Things?
No. What? No Country for Old Men. What's his name?
Javier Bardem.
Javier Bardem really scares me. And Carlos does a pretty good Javier Bardem now. And he just does it. It's just like, I can't do it. And he says things in Javier Bardem voice, and it terrifies me.
Have him say that he wants to kiss James Bond in the Javier Bardem voice, because I just need to hear it. Because they should have made out in that movie. They should have made out in that movie. Everyone saw it. They got so close.
They should have made
got so close.
And James Bond should have made out with Mads Mikkelsen, too.
Oh my god, that would have been something. That would have been something. Well, now that we know the book list, now that we know the book is definitely better than the movie. Fun fact, we're on vacation next week. Christina and I are taking summer vacation, not together, separately. Sorry about it. I mean, you could come with me. I'm not going anywhere. I'm home.
No, I'm not going anywhere. I'm home.
We're just taking a break from you guys. I do need it so I can read the next book. What's the next one, Christina?
So excited. So we are going to do Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. Yeah, I've read the book, watched the movie. Nikki's watched the movie, has not read the book. So gonna be a fun one.
You know, honestly, since we are taking a break for like 2 weeks from the podcast, we should just go to Atlanta. Did you wait when you went to Atlanta? Did you see the statue?
Savannah.
Yeah, Savannah. Did you see the statue?
Yes, and they have the statues everywhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're everywhere.
Savannah.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
But there's like you can go to like the specific place from like the movie or whatever. Did you go?
Well, yeah, and I saw the house too.
Yeah.
The house where everything like happens, where
I
saw the house where everything happens.
Yeah.
And where the Nazi flag is flown. Guess what, everybody? A Nazi flag gets flown in this
Spoilers.
book. It's fucking crazy. I walked past where the Lady Chablis used to play, used to perform at. I walked past the house where all the women go for like their tea. Very cool. But I've been dying to go back to Savannah. I only went once, and I went for like 6 hours. Like it was a very fast walk through. But I've been dying to go back in order to do a full like museum tour of the house, and kills me inside that I haven't been able to do that yet.
It's crazy too that all of that is kind of like in one area. Like you just
it's
up
a tight area
and around
too.
and back, and it's all right there. So it's like, oh, here's this. Oh, by the way, here's this. And also, that's where Forrest Gump's bench used to be.
Yeah.
It's all there, you guys. It's all you could do 2 movies in one day. And eat some good food.
This is gonna be a fun one, and looking forward to it.
Oh, I'm pumped. I'm ready. Bring it. And yeah, I guess it's time to let the lamb sleep. Christina?
Good night, Dr. Lector.
Dr. Lector. Oh, you did it. You did so good.
Thank you.
Dr. Lector. Thanks again, as always, to Jessie.
Thank you, Jessie. Q.
Yeah, our Q making our audio sound real good when we sound real dumb. He's gonna put that on a business card, I'm sure of it.
That's a good tagline.
Right? Making you sound good when you're real dumb. Thank you. Thank you again to all of you out there listening to this awesome episode about our favorite person, Hannibal Lecter.
Hannibal the Cannibal.
Hannibal the Cannibal?
Hannibal the Cannibal.
Thank you, Jodie Foster, for letting us make...
Jodie Foster, I really do. You're great in this movie.
You are really good. You're really good.
You're really good.
So good. Thank you, Holly Hunter, for also giving us some inspiration in this episode. But yeah, thank you all for listening. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And as always, thank you, Christina.
Aw, thank you, Nikki.
This was fun.
This was fun.
I know that's weird to say when we talk about...
This has been fun.
You know what's real fun? Silence of the Lambs.
Talk about dead bodies, their nail polish stuck in the well of the torture chamber.
Well.
Got your dog hurt real bad.
Oh my goodness.
Real bad, mister.
Real bad, mister. Just let me out. Oh, goodness. Okay. So, yeah, once again, we are on summer vacay, but we will be back when we visit Savannah. We're going to have more accents.
Oh, no.
Okay. We're going to try not to, but I can't help it.
My husband is going to be so freaking excited for an excuse to rewatch this movie, too.
Oh, I don't know if Jesse's ever watched it. I know. Oh, this could be good.
Yeah, I'm so excited to hear your thoughts on this after you read the book.
I'm pumped.
Yeah.
I'm ready. Wait, hold on. Is it that different from the movie?
I'm not saying shit.
Oh, I knew it. Okay, anyways, with that, I think Christina should put the lotion on her skin or else she'll get the hose again. Bye, Christina.
Bye, Dr. Lector.
Bye, Dr. Lecter.
Bye, Dr. Lecter.
Dr. Lecter.
Lecter.
Dr. Lecter. Okay, no, seriously now. Okay, bye. Bye, Christina.
Bye.
Bye.